こんにちは、ジャングルルーツクリップスです。今回はフォートナイトチャンピオンシリーズより第5試合目のハイライト、そしてこの次に第6試合目をフルゲームで皆さんにお届けできたらと思います。今回紹介する選手は建築の下のジャンゴ、またの名をジャンゴ、よく言われるあだ名はジャンゴーになります。この選手はフォートナイトを一番にエンジョイで楽しんでおられて、皆様にもぜひエンジョイしながらフォートナイトをやっていただけたらと思い、今回ご紹介させていただきました。裏で流れている映像などは一切本人とは関係ありませんので、ご了承いただけますと大変光栄でございます。このハイライトの後に第6試合目がございますので、皆様首を短くしたり長くしたりしてお待ちいただければと思います。特に喋ることがないのでもう終わりにします。それではご覧ください。レッツジャンゴー。
As they're tied for 29 points in that last game, eliminations were the really only thing setting them apart.
Fish, he's playing for that end game, and it's working out big time here. You can even see players like Skittles finding their frags now, Dio.
Yep, it's a three-man battle for first between Hoofishy, Skittles, and Miro. Hoofishy and Skittles were active in that last game. This was Monster's pick from the beginning, and he's still looking so active now. Finally awake, finally realized. Skittles is right behind him on the back foot, getting these shots off vertically, downwards on all angles. Hoofishy's looking really good, though, playing in these last moments.
Let's not forget, in the middle of the pack, it is Miro still in second place. He had the big gap, but it's all right. Players like Skittles and now Hoofishy are giving it that much more of a close run. He's making sure that they're keeping the competition tight as we're approaching the tail end. Here's your final perspectives from the other angle. Skittles, who had that high ground already, putting the beams down, and he's actually going to catch Hoofishy there. So those are big trades, big changes. Off replacement, off for score.
Developing, and it's going to happen in the next 20 or so minutes. So don't miss it, guys. This is the last chance for some of these players to qualify for heats, which are going to be happening next weekend.
This is the very last qualifier round, and right away we see a little bit of the piston that'll come out, but I do not anticipate Skittles committing to any early game fights. We talked about it over and over again. Every single interaction matters, and speaking of every interaction matter, Llama 210, E-Man GG calling that one out. Tifu spotted it with the colorblind mode, but Skittles is going to be the one who ultimately will have that one away, gets all the mats, all the excess utility, the guaranteed launch pad, and you want to talk about just getting gifted an express ride to the late game? Skittles just got it.
Yeah, Skittles just got it indeed. This is just pretty much, if Storm Surge doesn't become an issue right now, he can pretty much avoid fights at all costs now. Just hold on to what he has and get those guaranteed placements. As he has the lead, he's holding on. He doesn't need to set the pace, as we have someone else who's not holding on, who's trying to set the pace. Unknown, 17 points here back at Caddy Corners, and I believe that is Zate, who's the other player here. This could be Zate's first time not qualifying for a major tournament in this fashion. He might not get top 50 here. He needs to have a good game. I believe Unknown, well, actually Unknown as well on 17 points, and they're pretty close on consistency. If you haven't been following how this FNCS works, half the players are going to qualify straight into heats by getting top 50 in any of these 4 days, this being the last round. The other players, the other half, are going to be qualifying off consistency points. So these fights matter. Oh, an end pen goes down. That extra point could be the difference, where even if Unknown doesn't get top 50 today, he could qualify off consistency. But I'm not seeing Zate. Maybe Zate identified that as much as he wants to be the alpha, he's known as being Big Zate in NA East. Maybe he changed up and went somewhere else just to guarantee the fact that he qualifies this last game, or we maybe missed him going down Sundown. I'm not sure.
Now we see reloads here on the north side of Authority. He's been here a number of times, currently sitting on 34 points. A little bit of a shark dive going on there, but it's not quite Shark Week yet. 2 p.m. tomorrow is when you can check that out, but right now all of the action in the hunting is going on from these players, trying to set the absolute last opportunity to get the ambushes and get in here. You can see NutX picking up Dictate, and Storm Surge is not going to be a problem in this game, as we see just past that 70 player mark. The first round of placements have also already gone through, so everybody who's still in the lobby making sure they pick up a point, and none of our top 3 have gone down. Just a reminder for the viewers, what are the names you're looking for? Well, first, Reload's trying to set an ambush here, and that's Surge going down. We just talked about that, but our top three right now, Pure Skittles, Miro, OA, Who Fishy. Those are the three names that if they drop, it could end up being wide open, or if they pick up eliminations, the pressure ends up going on. Otherwise, if you're keeping an eye on it, you want your players to get above that 21-point threshold. 22 points across every region has been good enough to get you into that top 50, and it will qualify you guaranteed shot at the grand finals, which is what all of these players have worked for. But the last buck is right here. You have to do it right now, and Who Fishy has already secured that, but he wants a chance at the very top. However, under pressure around the outside, and that's not a good way to start it off.
No, under pressure from someone. He's got a fair bit of room though on the bottom right. You can see those two players. That person who took the shots was pretty far away, and I think Who Fishy knows that. That's why he's stepping back out, making sure that player's left. He wants to try and get some of this fishing loot up. We haven't seen the floppers coming too much into use today, but we have seen the burst rifles doing some serious damage. That was one burst rifle and 3 floppers. That is a considerable upgrade as he's going to throw them along and keep carrying what he can. Maybe trying to fish up a few more here for Who Fishy. But, I mean, Monster said at the start, this is a player who is definitely not unknown, but really hasn't kind of had their rise to prominence and might have their opportunity to do so here today. And Skittles and Miro, also two other players that, again, while being very good players in their own right, I feel like we aren't having a clash of titans like we did maybe in day 2 where we had Booger, Stretch going head to head. We have 3 players who've performed so well and might have their chance to say, hey, if you haven't heard about me, this is why you should have. And that's what these qualifiers are all about. As much as these players have already qualified, there is bragging rights on the line. There is confidence to go into those heats knowing that you are the best of the best on one of these days. So why can't it be next week as Booger takes down such a clutch in the feed? One of those players was around that top 50 just trying to secure their qualification.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put some respect on Miro's name and say he is right now one of the best in NAU, straight up. If you're making it to the round 3, if you're one of 3 players, and then you saw what that list looked like over in Europe and the quality of players who were able to make it there, he's cemented himself. And the fact that he's competing for a #1 finish and putting it all together, if anything, I think gives me more confidence looking forward to the heats. But right now, we see Nosh going up against Trapkilled. Trapkilled had a brilliant performance on the first 2 days, but struggled a little bit here yesterday on the new Assawaddle skin. 32 points, though, so far, so doing pretty good job, but wants to clean up this fight. Nosh, another player who's very good box-to-box. Crash Pad going to force him in, making sure he throws it up against it, gets on the backside, maintaining the forward momentum, and he tries to get a disengage out from Nosh. Good job from there. You can see that nice little fly in there. 7 of the current players. I actually missed what the last part was because commentating it, so hopefully Aussie caught what the back half was.
I caught it. 7 of the top 10 players right now have already qualified directly into the heat, so the other 3 already at this point will definitely stay inside top 50 as Trapkilled trying to jump in and take this elimination onto Nosh, and he does. Nosh goes down, Trapkilled, and he was running low on mats there, and he managed to pick it up, and look at all the shield he has now. A big pickup, and Nosh's game is ended there. I don't think he was too high up on the leaderboard, but someone that could have shaken up these standings and have a big performance. But as we just heard, a lot of those players in the top 10, they've secured their quals already in previous days, or they've guaranteed it here today. There's no way they can drop from the top 10 outside of top 50, but they've got eyes set on the top as Trapkilled cleans out this area outside Steamy.
And well done making sure to resolve that fight. Tough on Nosh, but now we're going to swing on over. Canada was 4th place coming into this game. Again, while just on the outside looking in, only about 10 points off the pace from Skittles, so he is more than capable of winning a match. We've seen it a number of times from him in stacked solo situations. Not yet today, came close towards the end, but if he puts it all together, he could potentially steal away the top spot. And right now, he's in a pretty good position. I will note that a number of players up on the high ground could make his life a little difficult, but trying to find some burst AR shots in there and not quite going to connect. So while first Storm Surge wasn't necessarily a problem, but still 62 players remaining, we could see a little bit of pressure around second stage Storm Surge at Circle 3, and then maybe third stage Storm Surge for Circle 5. However, I anticipate we'll see a little bit more action towards the end.
Yeah, so those end games is what it is. These last few games can be quite tumultuous in the early and mid game, but like we saw from Unknown, those players that are forcing the fights quite often will get inevitably taken out at some point, and then those players that are left that are really just holding on and keeping those end games still incredibly stacked. But it's that first threshold of Storm Surge that normally will be the one you don't have to worry about in these final games. But these players, some of them have been playing. Like we talked about Miro, he played up to 9 hours yesterday with a couple of breaks in between of solos, and now today. You've got to think, do you have the mental composure? Are you a marathon player player like Monster and Shire were talking about at the start of today. Can you keep it all together for this final game, or does it all crumble when your brain starts to get that little bit tired? And as we've seen today, those tiny little mistakes is all it takes for these other phenomenal players to take you out and ruin your story.
And we've talked about it so many times about how setting a foundation for yourself is so key, both in terms of getting a mental rhythm and just from the mechanics. If you do get picked off in one of those situations, you're unable to get in, it's so hard to keep warm of a competitive place. Like, yes, you can go in and play creative. Yes, you can pop into arena real quick. Yes, you can go VOD review. But it's so different actually being in one of these lobbies, being pressured, having one of these top level players hounding down on you, desperately looking for a refresh. If you're not actually in that experience, it's so much more difficult to get a rhythm going. But Class, you can see, trying to find a nice little outside rotate. Again, 37 points just on the outside looking in of the top mark. Skittles, I believe, should be right now on 47 points, unless he's picked up an elimination. Haven't seen him in the feed there, as now we switch on over to Booga, trying to get a pick here to push us towards that top 60 using the crash pads. Really good job if you notice how players are throwing it against the wall to make sure it lands behind them so they get pushed forward without necessarily influencing their opponent. And Schmexy, you can stay on YouTube there because Booga is going to stay in the game while you're out of it. Fired also picks up a puerta, and 9 more players will need to go down before we have our top 50 in the second round of placement points.
Booga could have a big performance here and jump up in that top 5, top 10. Booga obviously already qualified, came second in one of the weeks, just fell off pace in the last game against Stretch, but he could jump up here. And already, again, we talked about where he was dropping Rig earlier today. Either he's changed his drop spot or he's most definitely changed more of his rotates, usually opting to go for a safer rotate through that boat, but maybe the northeast zone here has changed that, or Booga just wanting to get those eliminations. Got 3 on the board, changing up his playstyle, and one of those players I've talked about you need to try and avoid if you are Skittles, Miro, Who Fishy. As much as they can hold their own and they can take down Booga, it is a chance to go down, but it's also a chance to lose some of that utility and materials you've gained. We saw Skittles got gifted that llama early in the game, the Fortnite gods gifting him, wanting him to get to that end game, but it doesn't matter what you got in the back pocket. If you run into someone like Booga and they close out the fight quickly, it doesn't matter what you had, you're going to lose it.
And the key thing with Booga here, with the crash pads in 6 big pots, he's looking to take trades because he has just so much effective extra shield. That's 300 extra shield he's sitting on that allows him to go and take these trades. That, followed up with a legendary attack shotgun and a legendary burst, gives him so much wall-to-wall pressure and box fighting pressure that if he's able to close the gap and get some pressure onto you, get some damage, it's going to be so difficult to disengage from him. And he's so good at closing out these fights. You can see actually using the Marauders on the backside of the wall to kind of create a pincer here onto his opponent, but going to opt to just back out, reset for a second because he knows he'll have an opportunity to use the crash pad. Gets in the box, 124, finds the second one. That's Rokane, one of the 3 all-time qualifiers. But Booga says, I don't care how many times he qualified. I won a World Cup. I'm pretty good at this solos thing. Great elimination from him there.
Yeah, you may have heard of me, and Booga is using those crash pads so effectively, and that's what's causing a lot of issues for some of these players. It's just you can position in those aggressive areas. If you're positioning around the center zone, you're not up and away from people. You're a target for this incredible aggression that is so incredibly hard to stop. When they're up against the walls and they're crash padding in, it's just coming down to shotgun aim. As we see Cease on 26 points, has that grapple gun. He's made it away from authority. Someone that I very easily could see picking up a win who hasn't had such an insane performance today and really jumping up in that leaderboard. He has the loadout to do it. He's got a decent position on the map. What I would expect to have a few more players on this side, it doesn't actually. He's in a nice little spot only because third zone pulled so close to this far edge of second zone, and he's looking pretty good with the loadout he has. He's got 2 epic weapons as the Jally off there, and someone is getting that airdrop. Zeshi it is, who's going to try and get that mobility and just try and jump up. His Clicks has made it through the mid game, and let's see if he can have another pop-off end game,
which could be enough to continue to push that average forward. Again, for Clicks, he's already guaranteed his qualification with a 48th in qualifier 1 and 16th yesterday, 35 points, largely on the back of his victory royale earlier today, but want to see him put it all together again, just on the outside looking in with an opportunity to overtake these players if he's able to put it all together. But it's going to be so insanely difficult just because of the amount of players who are left. Again, we talked about it. The initial rush off of the start, the players who are playing desperate, trying to chain together elims to get in there. After that, the game's going to calm down a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a breather. It's going to slow down while people are looking to establish position, not burn their utility, because they know this is the last chance. You have to get points here. You have to get in that top 50. You have to get into the late game and get a couple placement points and get chances for opportunities for elims, because you're not guaranteed those just flying around in the early game. And right now it's so absurdly tense. Nobody wants to be the first one to kind of start those engagements, because if you get chosen, that's it. You're done. Your tournament is over, and potentially your FNCS run could be over.
I think we've only seen 8 players go down in that entire third zone coming in, that entire second zone to third zone swap, and I think only 8 people went down, so proving correct that those players that were a bit aggressive and maybe kind of not all mentally there having those aggressive fights are out of here, and now the players that are ready to play, the ones who want to make their 6th game count, want to make their final push into whatever placement they can get, whatever prize money they can get, whatever qualification they can get, it's their chance now. Reverse, set up here on the edge, and Class making some moves, maybe going to go in on him. He is. Class didn't really need this fight too much in Reverse, just getting pushed in on. Can Reverse disengage this one? Can he have his 6th game, or is Class going to end it right here? Class needed a bit of a material refresh, but overall a very aggressive play, as I believe has Reverse launch padded off here. No, Reverse is still in here. Class is back in the box, not letting up, and Reverse goes down. He will not be happy about that one. A player that's used to that slow, steady, methodical gameplay, getting to end game, playing the low ground, just really getting through it, and he can't get through the mid game as Class makes a very, very aggressive play with those crash pads. We're just seeing it time and time again. Usually in the last meta, you had the drum gun, you had those items that gave you the ability to just W key and play so aggressive, but that was a mythic item. These crash pads, almost anyone can carry them, Sundown, and they're really showing their strength as people are just getting refresh after refresh and ending tournament after tournament with them.
And it's just so easy to do, to get in the box, to be able to execute on that. You get a drop on your opponent. Smacked, who was below the threshold from the Storm Surge, using his 2 stink grenades, still below it, unfortunately only able to convert that into 20 extra damage, still 11 below. 4 more players will need to drop. Storm Surge will end up coming into effect once that circle closes, so 25 seconds there. That's why you see Smack opting to get a little bit aggressive, because he knows he got tagged there. Lizard Pete does go down. That's Reloads, who's over on the side, and is also getting chosen by another player. So Smack trying to potentially set up for an alley-oop here by dropping him through the floor and then comboing with the shotgun. And there he goes, 67, gets the tag, as well as a white follow-up. That was 35 damage there. Can he close the gap? We're going to wait for the server to catch up a little bit. Smack continuing to try to put the pressure down, and he does. He gets himself out of the Storm Surge territory by just turning it off altogether. The elimination comes through onto Reloads, and that's a huge refresh for Smack.
And it's a 2-point swing again. He goes down. Apex Reloads goes down just before top 50. So that's 2 points he's just lost, or 1 point guaranteed without the elimination. And he was in 10th place. So as much as he's already qualified here today, Apex Reloads, our game 1 winner, struggled to keep up the pace. But that could have been a decent chunk of money that he's just lost in this game. So he is going to be frustrated even with that play there. And Miro at 48th point now. He's jumped up to 48 points, I believe. He's got 1 elimination, so he could have closed that gap with Skittles. They've gotten the same amount of placement points, the 2, 1 for top 75, 1 for 50, but if Skittles hasn't got an elimination, him and Miro are tied, and is Miro's tournament going to end in the sky? It does! Miro's tournament ends in the sky. Stacky takes him out just like that. Miro has fallen, so it is now Skittles, who Fishy to try and hold on to this pace, or can someone like Kanata, Class, or Smacked, as we saw, get a bunch of eliminations and jump up, as Skittles made the rotate that Miro did not.
And Stacky's right around that line too. Anybody at 40 points now with Miro out of the lobby could effectively steal it away if they're able to get a victory route. However, all eyes on Who Fishy and Pure Skittles. That's 1 and 2, the leading horses in the race right now as we round the bend. We talked about the half in, half out being that signal for the transition into the late game, and it's going to start right now. Most of the players are already in it. The rotation will be used. Clicks also going down there. His run will end in the FNCS for now. We'll see him again in the heats, but eyes on Who Fishy. What can he do? He knows the pressure is on, currently sitting at 46 points. We had seen Miro get taken out there. We know Skittles is still up as well. We've yet to see him go down. The question is, who will convert?
Who will convert here? Is Who Fishy going to finally jump up, have his moment? Is he going to overtake Skittles? As like you said, Miro has established himself as one of the best players here in these final rounds, and they are out. He has been the most consistent player out of all of these 3 across every single day. He has proven that he can do it, but 1 rotation, that's all it was. Who Fishy could hit his launch pad now and get taken out of the sky as well. You never know. That is why solos is so entertaining to watch, but can be so frustrating for these players as well, as they need to put it all together in this final game. Who Fishy has the launch pad, but those 4 floppers. They give you such an extra little bit of breathing room if you get held back in Storm, if a launch pad sends you the wrong way, if the caddy launcher comes out and gets you in Storm. You just have that ability to try and get your game back together as he's well and truly above Storm Surge, just waiting here to see what rotation can he take off someone else, or is he going to use his one launch pad and make the rotate himself? Is he going to get feet on the ground or on builds and make this rotate and continue his push on 47 points, jumping into that 50 points? He's actually going to sit back and use the flopper. He's going to get that launch pad, go through 1 flopper, potentially 2 once he gets in, but he's held onto that launch pad. If this zone keeps going up and it goes on top of all those builds you can see, that launch pad is going to be instrumental. And I honestly think, Sundown, that was a very smart play, but no, it was a smart play until he boxed up on Dgen's wall. He wasn't careful on who had it. Dgen takes him down, and Skittles might be on his victory lap if he's still here and something doesn't go wrong very soon.
Keeping an eye on that top left corner. If Skittles doesn't go down and he takes over for the placement points, that'll be it. He'll walk away in the #1 spot, but we'll still have to finish the matchup. You can see Joji picks up rocks there, Canada on 39 points. Don't forget, Miro went down with 48. If anybody is able to pass that bar, that will be enough. Skittles was the closest, and we're still waiting to see his name. Canada goes down as well right as he throws the crash pad. Justice eats him up, has the pepper going in. Justice, keep an eye on that point total as well. He's on 20, right on that line for the top 50, but still have yet to see Skittles fall as we tick over into the top 30. That's another placement point going through, so keep an eye on that. Justice looking for an angle on the side as we still have plenty of players to go, and Justice finds Booga there, ending his run. Let's take a look on the wide. Where is Skittles? Where is he? Can he stay in? Smack looking to make a run for it as well, currently 42 points. If he could take the victory route, Aussie, he could look to make a push.
He could. Smacked Class, they're still in this one. They can drop some big eliminations. Even Clicks, can he have that big game we've been wanting for him all day to try and jump up and make something of this? Can Skittles hold on? Smacked has 19 builds left, has good meds, has good shields, just needs maybe that material refresh to get through. He sees that crash pad. He's going to try and hit it. Nice mobility, but we've seen so many times these crash pads can be a gift or a curse if you drop into the wrong box or on the wrong wall, and he does. He makes the rotate. P-God takes down Cease, and Smacked looking to try and get that material refresh that he so sorely needs. 9 builds left will be not enough to survive 18 people. Skittles is still in this, not any eliminations, maybe just coasting through, getting those guaranteed placements. 8 to go down, and he'll get top 10, and then he'll start getting 1 placement for every player that goes down. Once a player in the lead, with as much of a lead as Skittles, he's gonna have it if he gets top 10. He just needs to keep getting those placements and survive. As Smacked trying to make some plays, take them down the backside. Crumbler also taking down Panda, and Smacked gets his mat refresh, but only 25 builds. I don't think it's gonna be enough, Sundown. He needs something else.
No, he needs eliminations. The fact that Skittles has not appeared in that elimination feed either way is actually going to be it. Pushing over into the top 15, there's no possible way they can close the gap. He had enough of the lead. Pure Skittles is going to walk away with qualifier #4 as again ticks down just inside the top 10, but it's going to be enough as Smacked will continue his run 47. Nobody else is going to be able to catch him. I mean, Smacked theoretically with a miracle taking down absolutely every player, but no builds, 3 elims left to his name. It would take quite literally everything, and I'm 99% sure Skittles is going to walk away with it, but Smacked might have something to say about it. Gets the pick onto Redux, almost pushes himself into the top 5 as well. He needs every single one of those points. He can't go down here or it's all said and done, and there it is. Smack goes down on the low ground outside of the top 5. We'll finish it out, but Pure Skittles is walking away with qualifier #4. Furious up on the high ground. P-God, the Peruvian god, goes down to Money Mooney, who's had a brilliant backside and doing everything possible to guarantee himself his own shot at heats. Both Furious and Mooney will be representing, but the question is, who gets this dub? Aussie, call it.
I don't know. Furious, I gotta think he's in zone now. Got the caddy launcher, goes up. Can he finish it in style though? Comes down with a shotgun, the aptly named Thunder Pump. It misses. He tries to follow up and he can't. Mooney takes him down, which could have been big points, and Furious may have lost out on big money from that. Mooney picking up 39, Furious going down on 44. He was around that top 10. There is a lot of money to give out up there.
Yeah, if he'd been able to farther, but today it's all about tasting the rainbow, and it's Pure Skittles walking away with the #1 spot in the